Good morning, all. Welcome to the Eagle County Capital Improvement Board meeting for the 26th of October, 2022. It is 9 a.m. and there's the auditor.
I got a message from Bob.
I got it.
You got it? You got it? Okay.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. We'll call the roll. The auditor just walked out the door. Would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Conley? Present. Ms. Crapo? Present. Mr. Marvel?
Here.
Mr. Swetsey?
Here.
Mr. Bennett? Mr. Patterson? Ms. Hellman?
The individuals that weren't here this morning have all reported in, so they're not absent without a reason. The mayor is with his wife, who's undergoing surgery for her knee, and Dave Patterson has a similar situation with his wife, but he is on with us, I think, on maybe YouTube.
No, well, he could be.
And then our new member is out in Phoenix, so she's excused as well. Are there any additions or revisions to today's agenda? Hearing none, I'll move on to the approval of
Mr. President,
minutes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Sorry to be remote here today. The mayor indicated that new business 7.1, he would like to have delayed until next month.
Okay.
So that will appear on next month's agenda.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Glasman. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of September the 28th?
I reviewed them. I'll make a motion to approve.
No second?
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Under old business, update on the convention center management with Oak Valley Group.
OP group.
Oakview Group. You're getting close now. But it's written down.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So we're reporting on September events. During the month of September, we hosted 16 events, which accounted for 23 event days. Total attendance was a little over 1,100. Gross revenue generated from events was a little over $86,000, and parking revenue generated was a little over $2,000. Here's a list of all of our September events that we did. Mostly all new events that we've had in the past. Advice Insurance has a series of events that they're doing with us, just a series. They've got like 6 or 7 meetings that they're doing with us continually. And then Hometown Savings Bank has been here several times, and they actually just signed some additional contracts for future sales meetings that they're doing, so you can see everyone that we've had. These are some of the photos from events that we had. We had the Fusen wedding this past month, which was more of a high profile wedding. We had the fire department that was here for their first responders dinner, which is a really nice event. That was a combination of fire department, sheriff's office, and Terre Haute PD. Then we had the food and beverage show for B&B Foods, where they had all of their different vendors that provide food that they rep food for, where they had different restaurants come in that they do business with. They came in and did all kinds of sampling, and that was just a really nice event. It was an opportunity for us to really go through and try some new products that we haven't ordered through B&B yet, and see, is there anything new that we want to try to order, to negotiate pricing, things like that. So just really good opportunity for us to do a real food show in the building. This kind of shows the events that we did by the type of event. We had 12 meetings this past month, 2 banquets, 1 trade show, 1 special event. you can kind of see the attendance by event type and the gross revenue. Banquets typically will lead the charge on, you know, the gross revenue because of all the food functions that they have at those events.
You know, quick
Yes.
question. How did the Blues Fest go selling outside? Was that something?
It wasn't as successful as we had hoped. Attendance, I was here last year during Blues Fest, and there were a lot of people here. There was not a lot of people here. Friday night, we kind of felt like, I think there were 3 football games going on that night, so everyone was saying that they thought most folks were probably at those football games. And then Saturday, there was a torrential downpour. We were actually outside, and we had a tent outside the connector doors, and we had the first responders dinner going on inside the building, and all of a sudden, rain and wind, and the girls were out there that were manning the tent were literally holding on to the tent, because there were tents like blowing down the street. The street quickly flooded a little bit, and then, so we went out and we got the tent down low, we strapped it all down, and then they just sat inside, and once the rain went away, we set back up again. So I think we had to wait probably about an hour, hour and a half. We set back up, and then I think the first band started playing maybe about 8:30 or so, but there was not a big crowd that came out after that. That downpour started right as the festival was supposed to start. So I don't really know what attendance numbers were like, but on our side of the street, there was not a lot of people down here. I wouldn't do it again.
Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't be something, we wanted to be a part of it and do something, you know, that would help, you know, the Verve and the Blues Fest, but it wasn't worth the time, the effort, and the money that we put into it. We really didn't have any wasted product, because everything that we have, we can still, it's all stuff that can be used. So we ordered a bunch of pulled pork, you know, we have it roasted, but it's still stuff that it's pre-cooked, but we can always still continue to use that product that we have. So nothing wasted, which is good. When we have employee functions, we're having pulled pork. So, but it was really good, and we actually had a lot of comments. We actually put pork in cups, and we walked around downtown and handed out samples to try to get folks to come down. And I can't remember the gentleman's name, Kevin, from one of the car dealerships that I had met at a previous meeting, walked over and he said his son had gotten a sample, and he came over to taste it, and he just raved about it was the best pork that he had had. We had a lot of really good feedback from the sandwiches that we were doing. So that was really good. But yeah, we won't do that venture again, unfortunately. So gross revenue by event types, you know, typically it's going to be banquets unless we have a really large convention during the month that has heavy food and beverage. These show you just year-to-date stats, where you can see number of meetings. We've had 52 meetings this far this year. The smaller day meetings and things, we're gonna book a whole lot more of those than you will the banquets, conventions, special events, just because we have all of the breakout rooms. Some of these meetings will range from really large meetings to really small meetings. Attendance by event type, special events and banquets carry the most attendance. And then revenue, gross revenue by event type is banquets at a little over 147,000. And then September was our highest grossing month to date. On the employment front, we have hired a food and beverage director. His name is Bill Hawkins. I've actually been talking to him for about a year. He was one of my candidates a year ago before we had hired Rhonda. He was in a contract somewhere else and couldn't get out of his existing contract. And so he currently works for Bon Appetit. He's an executive chef there. He's from Louisville, Kentucky. He is an excellent chef, but he's also owned a catering company, and he has run several restaurants for independent investors when he was in Louisville. After COVID, those restaurants shut down and he moved to Terre Haute. So he's been here almost 2 years, and he's looking to get back to a little bit more of the administrative side of the business, which would put him into the food and beverage director position, and he's looking forward to getting his kitchen boots off and going back onto like front of house floor and that. And so I think he would be an excellent mentor for Sunny and Ian. You know, he comes with a lot of experience in the kitchen, and he's also someone who, if chef is on vacation, he can step right into the kitchen and just, you know, take over for an event. So it's a really great opportunity for us to have him here. I'm super excited about moving some of that food and beverage stuff over to his plate. And he can do the freezer inventory now instead of me and Ian. But yeah, that'll be really nice to have him here. We'll continually hire part-time line cooks and banquet servers and operations staff. Martel has been attending any community job fairs that we have, or the ones like with the colleges. She's always a part of those, and so she's always out getting in front of those students, and we've started to really build up our rosters. We've got about 35 part-time employees now on our roster, so that's tremendously helping us get staff when we need to have them here for different times of the day or weekends or evenings. On the food and beverage side, Sunny and I had attended the Gordon Food Show in Louisville, Kentucky last month. We met with a lot of vendors and discussed new items and pricing. We talked about a lot of shortages that we were having. There's a turkey shortage. And then we had our local turkey company that was here for an event, which we had a hard time getting turkey for their event, for a carving station, which just seems kind of odd, but it was nice to be able to sit down and talk to some of those vendors and understand where the shortages are coming from and why prices are going a little bit higher on certain products. As some of these shortages are happening, you've got some of these large companies like Tyson and Purdue that they're finding that, I guess what happened, there was a bacterial infection with a large amount of birds in one area, and so that shorted Purdue and Tyson, so they start to buy up all of the other products in the market, and they typically get first dibs on a lot of those things because they're larger companies. They can pay more, so then it starts to short everybody else down the chain. So that hits restaurants, schools, things like that, where we've got, you know, we're trying to buy smaller amounts of items, and it's all being bought up quicker than or allocated before we can get our small amounts allocated. So it's nice to be able to kind of understand those. And we use B&B and GFS probably for primarily most of the food that we buy. So it's nice to have, we always have to have at least two really good vendors. So if one doesn't have something, we've got the other as a backup. And so we have the B&B food show where we did the same, talked to a lot of vendors to understand, you know, like what pricing is on certain products, what can we get that's different. We'll have some, B&B might have some products that we will always buy through B&B, and GFS might have other products that we know we get a better price on, and we'll always get some of those through them, but we always price them out through both companies. We had additional shelving installed in our catering storage rooms as we are having more items, having to bring out more china and things like that for events. You know, we've got to find more room for things, so we've started installing more storage for back of house, so that way we've got everything nice and organized. Dawn, our maintenance tech, designed some holders for our tray jacks. I think I've got a picture in the operations section. I just pretty much go through the back of house and go, okay, where can we put things? Explain to him, you know, here's what I'm thinking that we can do, and they just find spare parts and they start building things and find a storage solution. So it's really great to have creative people on our staff. We had the Fusen Dibble and Republic Services event on the 17th. So September 17th, we had a really busy day, and I just wanted to highlight this one. This was, we started the morning on a Saturday morning with a breakfast buffet for a group. Some of us were in at 6:30 that morning to start preparations for everything. Chef got breakfast out for one group, and then we quickly rolled into doing desserts for the Fusen wedding. So I think by 7:30 we were starting on desserts in the kitchen, doing cheesecakes, decorating those, putting all the toppings on them, putting the flowers on them. This is the dessert from the Fusen wedding. And then right into searing beef tenderloins for that event. They had beef tenderloin and salmon. Just a lot of things going on in the kitchen. We might prep some product the day before, like we might cut vegetables, we might have potatoes already diced and maybe have some of those in water, have some things pre-prepped, but the day of an event is when most of everything comes together. So this event was, their wedding was a 270 person guest wedding. It was a full service meal. We had to have a lot of staff here. Nothing was preset. Usually we have like a preset salad, preset dessert, so usually what we're delivering to the table is just the entree. Everything was delivered in this case. We had to deliver the salads to the guests, and then we pull the salads and we deliver the entrees, and then we pull the entrees, and then we deliver the dessert, and then on top of that, we had individual wine service, so we had wine servers going through the room, pouring white and red wine for everyone, and then after that, champagne service. So lots of moving pieces on top of the bar and everything else that's going on. So we had 2 pretty good sized events all in one day that, you know, was probably an 18 to 19 hour day for most of us that day. And with everything that took place that day, you know, we had rave reviews from both of those clients, especially from the Fusen wedding, where they were overly ecstatic about the meal and the service that they got. So I just wanted to point out, you know, like what it kind of goes into with some of the events that we do. A lot of preparation, a lot of planning that goes into all of them. From operations, we did receive our radios that have been on back order for a long time, so it's nice to finally get those. You can see our tray jack holders in this picture over here. I basically told them I want to have like a couple forks that stick out from the wall so that we can stack all of our tray jacks rather than them all being stacked up on the floor against walls, taking up, you know, valuable space. And so these brackets that were made came from spare parts of other things that came when equipment was brought in that, you know, just kind of held stuff together in boxes. So they had all these spare parts just sitting in the garage, and then they just, you know, started to assemble things in. So we've got 3 of these nice stands so that we've got things out of the way. So our back of house is extremely organized. Brady went through and he performs monthly AED and fire extinguisher inspections the first Tuesday of every month, so that was completed. We had 10 of our managers and all of our directors were trained and received our OSHA 1 certifications. And that's what these images are on the side over here. We actually have a gentleman named Pat who's on our operations AV staff, who he does audiovisual for us, and he also does safety trainings, OSHA trainings, just all different kinds of trainings. And so he came in and did all of our OSHA certified training for us. So this was a 2-day training that we did with him, and we took a test at the end. So we've got a lot of staff that is that's certified now. Lindy Brothers came through and they weeded and they removed the dead trees that are on the north end of the building. They're supposed to be replacing those trees whenever they do the copper bar landscaping, I guess, on the other side. So I'm not quite sure when those replacement trees will go in, but sometime soon. Corson came in and did their hood inspection. This is something that we do semi-annually, so they'll come in every 6 months and take care of this for us. Our more shelving back of house, and then just room sets and daily business for operations and audiovisual. Sales and marketing, last month we contracted 10 events totaling almost $45,000 in future revenue. 2 of these events were in the month for the month, and 6 events will take place before the end of the year. 2 of the events are booked for 2023. They currently have 49 leads that are in the funnel that they're working on, which totals $332,000 with 1,700 room nights. And then we've got 15 contracts that are out that total a little over 100,000 and a little over 300 hotel room nights. So you can see some of the site tours that they gave this past month, community involvement. Anytime we have like ribbon cuttings like that are downtown, we try to attend some of those so that we're out in front of those businesses. We are partnering with local blood banks so that we can have a blood drive we have an internal committee. We've got a few committees that we have here in our building with our employees, and one of those is what we call our Convention Cares program. And one of their initiatives is to try to do as many community things that we can. So we're trying to put together a blood drive, and that will be on 12/13. So that'll be something that we will promote to the public, because we want folks to just come in and donate blood. Pam's on the Downtown Terre Haute Advisory Board, and also met with the League of Terre Haute member meeting as well. And then you can see some of our promotions and advertising. The Mix FM radio they do a podcast with women in business, and I was interviewed for one of those. Evansville Regional Economic Partnership requested information on the building, and we're to be featured as one of their profile, or one of their new members in their September issue. Pam Chamberlain attended MPI's regional meeting, which is Meeting Planners International. They have an Indiana chapter, and so she was able to meet with a lot of regional planners and get information out about the facility as well. Then you can just see regular social media posts, some of our advertising that we do. We try to keep our website up to date, and Pam and Alyssa do a really great job with all of our social media. Almost every day we have things that are going out, and it's not just, it's nice content, it's valuable content. We get a lot of feedback on things, and so pretty happy about that. So we have a 2-page ad in Midwest Meetings. So this is that ad, the 2 large ads up here. We have an advertorial and an advertisement that goes with that, and then these are some of the banners that we have running in our banner advertising. And then this just shows you some of our website traffic. You can see our main page gets the most visitors, and then our calendar of event, we've got a lot of traffic that goes there. And then our third highest page is planners, folks going to our page and clicking on the planners page. So that tells us these are people who are looking to plan an event. And then we've listed our Google reviews. David Fusen left a really nice review for us from his wedding just a few days ago, so I put that in here. Our Google reviews were a 4.6 out of 5 stars. I think we have 14 reviews on Google right now. So it's nice to see nice comments. And then these are just some of our Facebook posts that we've had the past month. So as far as numbers, now through the end of the year, we have 17 contracts. So we've got 17 definite events right now, which will total about $126,000. And then we still have 7 contracts out for the end of the year and 8 proposals. 2023, we've got 18 definite contracts with over $200,000 in business, and we've got 7 contracts that are out and 32 tentative proposals. And then a few that we're working on for 2024. Now as we're approaching the end of the year this year, our focus is to we'll fill in as much as we can for this year, but our shift goes to 2023. I talked to our sales team about really going through and trying to rebook. We need to rebook anything that we had this past year. Rebooking is the easiest business to book because they've already been here, they've had a great experience, and so they know what to expect. It's really just trying to go through all of those events for the home, get them back on the calendar, and really start focusing on 2023. So total funnel right now, from now through 2024, we've got $788,000 in business on the calendar. A couple things that I wanted to just mention, a couple events. We had a hold for New Year's Eve. We originally had a wedding that was scheduled for New Year's Eve, which the bride ended up, she needed to change the day, so we let her move into the next year. So we had budgeted a certain amount of revenue for New Year's, and so really wanted to fill that hole because it was expected revenue that we would have. So what we will be doing is producing our own New Year's masquerade. So these tickets just went on sale. We have the Mullet Over Band that has been booked. We have 3 different ticket tiers. So we're selling VIP tables which come with food stations around the room. We'll have a pasta bar that will have like a creamy Alfredo pasta with an adult mac and cheese, with chicken and shrimp and pork, where it's a made to order chef station where people can pick what they want to go in that. We'll also have a street taco bar with all kinds of fixings, an 8-foot charcuterie table, vegetable and fruit displays. We'll have, I'm trying to think of everything that was on the list. Spring rolls, hot wings, different types of appetizer type foods that will be around the room. So from 7:30 to 9, VIP table folks will have the opportunity to eat from those stations, plus the general admission ticket holders will have those food stations. The VIP ticket will also get additional appetizers that are brought to their table. So it's just specific to that table, and then it also lists on this sheet what comes at that VIP table. General admission tickets will have, and the VIP will also have 2 drink tickets and free parking that will come in their package. The general admission tickets will have all of those food stations, and the food takes place from 7:30 to 9. At 10 o'clock, we'll have a late night ticket, so we'll sell those at $50, and that'll be from 10 to 12:30. What we really want to push is our VIP tables and our general admission tickets, because those are our food functions. Those are where, you know, we really thrive in being able to have a really nice event. So our vision for this event is to be a little bit more upscale, not a gala, but where you can dress up, everyone can wear a mask. We've got a guitarist that plays that first hour of the event, and then it goes into the mullet over band, and they play for 4 hours. So we'll have a lot of lighting. We'll be purchasing some gobos so that there'll be additional lighting in the room. I'm looking at getting some different types of decor for the room, also adding like some pod seating, so it's not all just banquet rounds and banquet chairs. We want to create more of a lounge style atmosphere. We would have probably 4 to 6 officers at this event, so we will make sure that it's very safe. It's a 21 and up. We're hoping that most of our tickets will be pre-sales so that we don't do any on-site sales. We're not guaranteeing that we will have on-site sales. Max capacity for the event is 400 to 450, and that will be it. We want it to be a very comfortable event and not anything that's oversold or overpacked. You know, we just want it to be a really nice event so that folks will have a good time and come back and say, hey, that was tasteful, and we'll do it again. You know, and then we can always decide if we wanted to continue it on as an annual thing. And then on November 3rd, the CVB is in partnership with a gentleman who has produced the Carl Erskine story. They're selling tickets for this event for $10. They're available on Eventbrite. They're holding the event here. I think they're planning on probably about 300 to 400 folks for this, but tickets are open now. So I'm happy to send this to anyone, but if there's a way, and you guys can probably speak about, you know, what you're doing marketing wise for this event, but we're trying to help promote this event also so that they can sell tickets for this and then have a good crowd come in. I didn't know who Carl Erskine was when they had brought this to me, and Dave kind of explained. I went back and looked at some of the backstory and that. It's really fascinating. It's a really good documentary. It'll be really interesting. So just a couple of events that I wanted to highlight. Any questions?
Tennille, I appreciate the reports. I think one thing that I'd like to point out is it does not necessarily reflect the entire economical and financial impact in the community. Just from the fire and police and first responder event that you had, I did talk to a couple of restaurants, and they just wanted to let the CIB know that they definitely saw an increase in business from those individuals over that weekend. And so they did want me to pass along their appreciation for that.
Great.
So there is more of a financial, obviously, impact outside of just the convention center.
Yeah, absolutely. I was, today is Community Census Day. You know, the chamber is pushing that, and Josh came over yesterday, and we were talking about the census, and I was telling him that, you know, like for Terre Haute, we don't have a number as to what is that number per guest who comes to the building. You know, it's, when you have a convention, like every city, a lot of times when you use like an economic calculator through Destinations International or someone, they have a number. It's like $140 per person or whatever. That might be an Indianapolis number. Ours might be a little bit lower depending on the event, or, you know, it kind of is gauged on room nights or like what the hotel room rates might be. I would like to find a number for us based on convention type business with like the Wounded Blue that was here. Most of them stayed in hotel rooms. You know, you've got hotel taxes that they're paying, they're eating out, they're buying things while they're here. But even when we have a day meeting or just the B&B food show, they weren't staying the night. It was a one-day event, but most of those folks came from out of town, so they probably got gas here. They probably got something to eat before they left town or while they were on their way out, so they're still spending money. And so I was talking to him about, you know, with the community census, you know, if there's maybe a way that we can continue to do something like that, and we can have QR codes here in our building and continue to collect data through the year, but maybe change, like, what are the other questions we can ask folks so that we can find out what are they spending when they come here based on the event type. And if we know what event they attended, I know what type of event that falls under, so we can continue to collect more data and get more specific data for Terre Haute. And so I think that's something that we can work on. At the end of the year, I'll work on putting together all of the events that we did with attendance and how many hotel room nights, and try to figure out what we think that economic impact number would be also.
Is that an annual event?
It is annual. They were in Las Vegas last year. They said they've been doing this event for 20 years, and they told us that this was the best service they've had from an event. So we're hoping, they had made a comment about coming back here in the future, so we're hoping that maybe we can get in a rotation with them. That would be our goal. You know, they expected to have 200 people, and I think they were right around 130 for their events. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
Again, under old business, an update on the operating budget and cash flow. Jason Sedlin with Baker Tilly. Morning, Jason.
Morning, thank you. Yesterday, I believe we sent out to the board the cash flow, update on the cash flow. We did extend that out until 2023. So if you had a chance to review that or not, but happy to answer any questions that you might have on that. Just kind of highlight the food and beverage. In October, you did receive $230,663 in food and beverage tax. For the year, first 10 months of the year, you collected a little over $2,523,000. That's about a 12% increase for the first 10 months of last year. So again, the food and beverage is still coming in strong.
That's a lot of food and drink for a penny on the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
It adds up.
Anybody have any questions? All right, hearing none, we'll move right along. Thank you, Jason. Next item is an update on the Larry Bird Museum with Terry Conley.
Just a brief update for the committee. Window tint is going on today on the windows. I doubt you'll see much difference from the outside, but obviously with the window tint, just a reminder, this blocks 99% of all the UV rays, which would protect all of the collection items. Several of the items that we do have, and I'll let Shelley give a brief update, we received from another location, and you can see there's some visible deterioration of some of the items that we plan to have restored, cleaned, maintained. Shelley, do you have an update on the collection so far from what you've worked with?
Not really, other than what you had just mentioned. It's just normal wear and tear. I mean, there's not anything that's incredibly drastic or horrible. It's just everyday wear and tear, you know, tarnishing, a couple little nicks here and there. Stuff that just needs to be restored to put it back to where it once was. The items that, I mean, we're talking like trophies and stuff, so I mean, it's just, it's a given that it's expected, that it's going to happen, and you're gonna have a little bit of discoloring and so forth. So we are looking at getting those items cleaned up, repaired, restored, and put back into the condition that they originally were. So they'll be ready for display.
A couple of other items, still in process, still finalizing some of the legal contracts, and Garmong is hopefully finishing up their work. A few of the items had been pushed back. Brian mentioned at the last meeting, there's a busway and a unistrut that the lighting fixtures go on, and that's, I don't know, Brian, I know you're not necessarily involved in it anymore, but you did poke your head in downstairs earlier, so.
Well, that won't stop me from giving you an update. No, I think, last I talked to Mark, I think the bus stop is like 1st of December is when that'll be, first week of December. And I really think that's the last piece of.
I think they were moving some of the electrical, was also getting moved just to allow some more space in there.
Mm-hmm. But no, I think all the painting's done, the window tint, you know, today or tomorrow will be wrapped up, and, you know, the bus stop really just serves the museum light fixtures, which, you know, could be a year from now before those are ready to be installed, so I don't foresee any delays there.
I'll open it up for any questions, but that's where we stand.
Thank you, Terry. All right, next item is an update on the RFQ for the sports complex.
Yep. Brief update. So immediately following our last board meeting, when the RFQ was approved to be released, that was released on the CIB's website, social media, and then sent to media outlets statewide. We had some really great coverage on that in the media. It was also sent that day to any firm who had submitted any sort of interest in receiving that RFQ. So I would say about 8 to 10 have personally received it via email, and then of course there are others who have seen that just generated in the media and social media over the last month. Many have even asked questions throughout this month, just ensuring that they are submitting, exactly what we're looking for. So I think that's very positive. We have not received any to date, but those RFQs are not due until next Monday, October 31st at 4 p.m. They can submit them via email or mail, and those will be coming to me. So Tuesday morning, after we receive all of those, I compile them. I will ensure that the Special Projects Committee, which is chaired by Mayor Bennett, Dave, Emily are both on that committee, receive all of those so that the review process can begin. The goal indicated within the RFQ is that interviews will be held with the top 3 RFQ respondents on November 17th and 18th. So those interviews will be basically a 45-minute presentation from the firm, and then an additional 45 minutes for the committee to ask questions, have conversation, and then with the goal to have a recommendation to present to the board at the November board meeting. So I will make sure that Emily and Dave and the mayor all are well prepared for those, and then of course help scheduling those interviews once that decision is made with those top 3. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Brian, did you have a question?
I do not. I'm happy to add. We will we'll work with Victoria and RJL when those are in to review them for legal compliance and assist them with the scoring and the recommendation to the new projects committee for the interviews. I have some other things. Are you ready for me now?
Okay, you okay with this?
I'm okay, I don't know if she has any more to her report.
No, that was it. Thank you.
Chris, you have anything?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, thank you, Victoria. Moving on to under old business is an update on legal matters. Brian?
Good morning, all. Sorry to be on the small screen this morning, but I knew it would be a brief meeting today. Just to give you a couple of updates, we confirmed with Jason and his team regarding the next operating contribution by OBG 360, which I believe he worked into the revenue stream for next year. And Tennille, for your information, that's $175,000 contribution to the CIB operating fund that is to happen within 30 days after the commencement of the operating year, which is January 1. So probably end of January, that should be funneled your way to refresh your all memory. That can be used for any purpose, and that you all think is appropriate, whether just any purpose. As Terry indicated, we're coordinating with her committee on the photography rights and museum rights. Photography rights is pretty straightforward, and we have a draft document that we will circulate. The rights to the use of the bird name, we're still navigating between Larry's agent and Larry's non-official agent to see which is the right person for that. We also reached out to ISU through Greg Good and Terry to update you. Greg got back to me and said this is the right person, but I texted him again Monday, did not hear back, so I will keep following up with him until we have the right person for you. Going no matter working.
Brian, I just want to interrupt for 1 second. I believe Mark Madursky's working with that contact, actually.
Oh, he is, okay, great. Well, confirm that. We are filing, I found out last month that there's another used by the capital I had not seen before. It was actually a Victoria's RF. So we're doing that to protect that. So this mark for you all done that you would go that you have. A couple of things not to fall off the radar. At the last meeting, the board is the continuing temporary parking arrangement with the state office building through the end of the year. We have prepared and will work with Tennille and her contacts there a more permanent parking contract, and it's my hope that that can be done in conjunction with the owner of the building to resolve our still pending easement issues, all of which are don't frighten me at all, because I think we have an argument for an easement by prescription, which means you got it by law, written by valid and written document. But I'd like to get that wrapped up. And then to refresh your memory also that the first meeting of the year in January, your organization meeting, at which you will be electing your slate of officers. And the final item on my things to do list is we still need to resolve after the first of the year what the target amount is for OBG 360, and they get a bonus for exceeding expectations that are established in the agreement. That it has been postponed until we have some operating data from which you all can make a decision. So it's my guess that we will, right after the start of the year, work with Camille and her team and the finance committee to try to establish the parameters for that and make a recommendation to the full CIB by way of an additional amendment to the operating, the management agreement. So with that, happy to take any questions.
That has to be done by when?
It just really, next year's compensation, so it doesn't have to be done by any particular date. But it would be nice to have, I'm sure I'll get you, would like to have a target to shoot for to try to earn a bonus. So sometime after the first of the year, it could be mid-year if you want to wait that long to have a full year's operating data. But the bonus would happen for next year's operation, calendar year's operations after the completion of that year, the January 2024.
Okay. Any questions of the attorney?
Brian, could you repeat that? When would that be paid out? January 2024, okay.
January 2024. Basically. So it's a bonus for the full operating year of 2023.
So that's something that's not contemplated in the cash flow.
It's in their contract, and it doesn't necessarily, and Sunil, maybe it does say whether it's based off of revenue or off of income, whatever, I think we can determine that and go from there.
Yeah, it's like a conventions benchmark, but with no history, it's hard to come up with what that benchmark is. So once we have, I think we talked about maybe by March having a benchmark, because then we'd have like almost a good year to look back on to come up with a good number.
I think the finance committee will work with you on that. But again, there really isn't anything we can do in January. It'll have to be March before we work on that.
Yeah.
And then we'll have it for the budget for 2024.
Okay, anything else, Brennan?
No, sir. Other answering any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very much. New business item was pulled by the mayor. Under old business or other business, any questions or comments from the board members? Any of our guests have any questions? All right, our next regular board meeting will be November the 23rd, 2022, here in the executive board room at the convention center. One other question. What are we doing? Are we going to do anything for the holidays as far as decorating the building? Or?
Yeah, so we, I don't know how much we pulled out of our budget, but we pulled some money aside in our budget, and then we've got, one of our committees is going to be purchasing 3 trees. So we'll have 3 different trees, and with decor that we'll put out, we'll probably do poinsettias and that, but we won't do like a full building decor. Our trees will stay in the pre-function space, and I think we'll have one at the top of the landing over here, and then one in the Wabash pre-function and one in the museum pre-function. So we'll find a place to put those, and then we'll try to keep them in the same spot. So that way they're not in the middle of an event space where someone's wanting to move them all the time. We'll keep them out in the public area. So what we talked about was trying to find like 12-foot trees for this year, and then maybe in the future, if we've got some capital, we could probably look at getting a much larger tree. Those will just come with a little bit more of a price tag, but we won't do large decorating. It'll be a small amount of decorating.
Okay. If there's anything else from the board, all right, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.